Hello and welcome to today's video where I'll be chatting with you about my 2025 intentions, not goals, intentions. And I am accompanied by my latest addiction. If you follow me on Instagram, then you'd already be aware of it. This is my new favorite coffee. It's Nespresso coconut iced latte or something, and it is delicious. I make it extra fancy by sprinkling on top some shavings of coconut. Let me just have a sip. Yum. Sit back, grab a drink, and let's go through my 2025 intentions and how I go through them and just discuss the pros and cons. Now, I created a fabulous video, if I say so myself, last year where I shared with you how I go through my 2024 impressions at the time. Can I just check that this is working? I don't want to have to refilm it all over again. Yes, that's lit. And that looks lit, yes. Okay, so last year's video about my 2024 intentions, I went through 5 steps that I go through in order to create what my intentions for the new year are going to be. And this is only something that I started doing last year. Prior to that, I always had resolutions. New Year's resolutions were going to be lose weight, get fit, all those, you know what I mean, be more organized, etc. And I found that by the end of January, all those had just fallen by the wayside, and I was back to just doing things higgly-piggly without no real plan or real strategy. But last year I watched a YouTube that gave me more structure, and I implemented that last year and shared it with you in the video that I'll link down below. So go and have a look at it. I feel like that is one of the best videos that I created last year, and it deserved so much more love than it received. But anyway, regardless, it was a good video, and I'm not going to go and reiterate everything that I've already done in that video. Go to that video and have a look at my 5 steps, but I will use those steps and allude to that video in this video here today. So when I decide on what my intentions are for the year, the first thing that I do is look at my accomplishments. And now I'm reflecting back on 2024 and looking at my accomplishments on a personal, and mind you, I've made some notes I'll be referring to as I go through this video. So I reflect on all the accomplishments that I achieved on a personal scale, on a physical health scale, on a work perspective, and on a family perspective. Those are the priorities that I have in my life. And on a personal level, I feel like last year I really found my rhythm in who I was and how I was being more intentional with the people around me. And I was being more present, I felt, with the people in my life and life in general. I was being more conscious that life is finite. And so if I want to make an impact in the people around me and in my life, I needed to be more aware of it and not spend so much time scrolling on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and all the social media, but just be more conscious and more present in the life of the people around me. And I feel like I was more successful at that. The second thing that I'm really proud of last year is that I took action with regards to my health. And admittedly, it did happen towards the latter part of the year, but there's no reason why everything has to happen in January. So I took action in my health, and I started getting some blood works done and hearts checked, and just started taking more care of my exercise last year. And another thing that really worked for me, or one of my achievements last year, as many of you have noticed, I've reached 40,000 subscribers on my main channel, and I've started this new channel. And that's a big accomplishment because it took a lot of effort, a lot of dedicated work, and focus on being able to achieve that. And so that's an accomplishment for me last year. It created a greater community around my channel that I'm extremely grateful for. So that's the first step. Look at your accomplishments and appreciate them, recognize them, and be grateful for them. The second step in creating my intentions for 2025 is look at what worked and look at what didn't work. And middle of last year, I was going to create a follow-up video on how my 2024 intentions were going. And I went through a period where I was really down on myself because one of my intentions for 2024 was to take up running and be able to run 10Ks by the end of the year. If you're new to my channel, you may not know, I used to run and I did distance running for a little bit. So I've run 5Ks, 10Ks, half a marathon and a full marathon. And that was quite a big chunk of my life. I think I did that for about 5-6 years, and I loved it. And then I had knee problems and I stopped running, and I felt really down on myself. I felt really bad that I wasn't that person anymore, that person that could get up and just go for a run without too much thought. And so my intention for 2024 was to become a runner again. And I had steps in place to say, okay, I'm going to get on my treadmill every Sunday and I'm going to walk, and then I'm going to implement some running bursts, and slowly throughout the year, I'll increase those. Well, come June, July, I hadn't done any of that. And I was so down on myself because I really, by mid last year, I really hadn't done much beyond going for a walk here and there a couple of times a week to become a runner. So I was really down on myself middle of last year, and I never ended up creating that video of where I'm at and the progress of my 2024 intentions because I felt like a failure. Basically, because I hadn't achieved that intention, I hadn't put it into effect, I just felt like a loser. And I didn't want to bring that up. I didn't want to admit that, hey, here I am starting off the year saying I'm going to be doing X, Y, Z, and mid through the year I've done nothing. And so that video never came out because I just wasn't comfortable with coming on camera and saying, hey, I'm a loser, don't listen to me because I don't implement what I say I'm going to implement. And that's where I was at middle of last year. Implementing that running schedule didn't work for me. So I've acknowledged that, and I'm aware that that didn't work for me. So step 2 is look at what didn't work, but also look at what worked. The flip side of me not being able to become a runner again last year was that after a middle of the year where I was feeling so bad, I decided to reflect on why didn't that work for me. Well, it didn't work for me because I actually on a Sunday started going for a walk with a girlfriend. So now we go for a walk at 8:00 every Sunday morning, most Sunday mornings. Sometimes we can't do it. Weather, family, life just gets in the way. But generally, we catch up every Sunday and we go for a walk together, and we go for a nice, fast-paced walk where we walk and chat and catch up on life and solve all our problems in that hour walk. And then I come home and I might go grocery shopping and do my thing. But that became my routine for Sunday. And so I had to acknowledge that, yes, I might not have used the time to run on a Sunday morning, but I did take care of myself by going for a walk. I took care of my health and I took care of my mental well-being by spending time with a really good friend of mine. So the things that didn't work so much were my time management. I didn't feel that I was productive as I had intended on being, and definitely in last year's video, I said I was going to become a 5 a.m. person. I used to get up early all the time anyway, but for some reason, once I said I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to have my coffee, and then I'm going to go for a walk or do my meditation and all that stuff. I started waking up at 3:00 in the morning, unable to go back to sleep. And then by the time 5:00 came around, there was no way I was refreshed enough to be able to get up and go and start my day. So I ended up sleeping until 6:00, sometimes 7:00. So again, I felt like a failure because I hadn't done what I said I was going to do. So look at what worked and what didn't work. And yes, I've shown you that a lot of things didn't work last year. The next step is reflect on the lessons learned. It's taking stock of what didn't work. It doesn't mean that you failed. It's an opportunity for you to reevaluate and pivot. And an example of that is, yes, middle of the year, I realized that I wasn't going to become a runner last year. It just wasn't working. I wasn't making it work for me. But look at it from a different perspective. Yes, I didn't start running, but I did implement a routine that has worked out for me, which is go for a regular walk every Sunday for an hour with a girlfriend. And that's a new routine that I've implemented. So I learned that, yes, I had failed at one of the intentions, but I had implemented a new step, a new routine in my life that meant that every Sunday I would get up and go for a walk with a girlfriend. Louis wants to join us. Let me just open the pool gate for him and bring him in. Of course, he would be on this side. Hi, baby. Say hi. Hello. Hello. So reflect on the lessons learned. So I took stock and I realized that, yes, I wasn't going to become a runner last year. I hadn't put into place the steps that I said I was going to do. And look, admittedly, my daughter and I did start going out on a Sunday morning and then start running during the week, but it just didn't become enough of a routine that we kept it going throughout the year. But what did become a routine was going for a walk with my girlfriend every Sunday. And I feel that that was a good compromise. Another thing that I did implement last year that helped me was that, yes, running was going to be too strong of an activity for me at the physical level that I was at last year. So I started testing out different reformer Pilates classes in my area with another girlfriend. And so we started going to a class down the road and we tried 5 of those classes. And then we decided we liked it enough and we started researching other classes in our area and ended up joining a gym. And now reformer Pilates is a weekly routine of mine. I go with my girlfriend or I go with my daughters. We all go to the same gym. And we may not always do reformer Pilates together because of different time restraints, but I go to the gym now and I do reformer Pilates 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Different times depending on what's happening. And I find that that suits me and I'm feeling like I'm getting stronger physically. My core is getting a little bit stronger. And so that's given me the motivation now to start looking at how I can add some more things to my routine to target some other areas of my physique. Another thing that I learned last year was that I was down on myself because of my time management. And it's not that I'm good at managing my time. It's just that I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist, and everyone says that. But when you're creating a video, you can spend an inordinate amount of time cutting the video and adding B-roll.
I'm going to tell you something, but please don't freak out.
And smoothing it and cropping in, cropping out. That as a viewer, you don't realize until you start becoming a content creator and start editing that you realize, oh wow, how many times does the video chop and change and words come on the screen and pop-ups and basically interruptions happen throughout a video. And the video that I created last year, when I reviewed it during the weekend while I was getting ready for this video, I realized how many interruptions I had in that video that we're told as a content creator is required in order to keep the interest in a video. But I had to give myself some credit that when I created that video, I was only creating 1 video a week. So I had a whole week in which to edit and be creative and make that video as perfect as I possibly could make it. But around about halfway through the year or end of first quarter of last year, I started making 2 videos a week, which meant that now I had half the time in which to make the videos. And if you've been following me, then you also know that later in the year during Vlogmas, I was editing a video every day and uploading every day, which is quite challenging. But what I learned from that was that I could create engaging content, not perfect content, engaging content where my viewers, you, were just as likely to watch my video if it was just a straight out sit down and chat to the camera video, as opposed to me doing 20-30 hours of work on a video with pop-ups and interruptions and sound and words on the screen, which gave me then the freedom to understand, actually, sometimes my videos don't need all that. My real audience, my real friends who sit down and watch me regularly day in, day out, don't really care for all that. And so that's something that I learned last year. So I'm hoping to bring that into this channel this year. The next step is list all the things that you're grateful for last year. And there are loads of those. I am so grateful for my family, for my husband, who without his support, I wouldn't be able to do what I do and turn up for you. Despite all the challenges that he's had this year and that we as a family have had this year, which it's not something that I talk about because you come on here to be distracted from your own problems. You don't need to listen to my problems. There have been a lot of challenges this year that I haven't shared, and he has been my rock all this year. And despite what he was going through, he's enabled me to be able to continue to present to you and come on here without feeling restricted. And so I'm really grateful to him. I'm also grateful to you, my viewers, who come and watch me every video, because through your comments and your support, you're validating that I have a voice on this platform. I have a community that relies on me and that values me, and that is something really wonderful for me. And of course, I value my children, who I just enjoy in my life. And finally, another thing that I'm extremely grateful for this last year is for my health. Having gone through a number of years where I had knee problems and I was a stage where I couldn't walk, I realized how grateful I am for the health that I have now. I have a strong body. I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I have a body that enables me to be able to go to the gym, to be able to go for a long walk, to be able to do all the things that I need to do. And so I'm extremely grateful for that as well. And finally, the last step is identify your priorities in life. And you may have realized through what I've mentioned already what my priorities in life are. Connections. Connections is one of the most important things in my life, whether it be with my family, with friends, with you, my viewers. How I've created connection with my family is by having a regular Sunday night family dinners. How I'd like to improve on those going forward is, sometimes you can do the best that you can, and sometimes it becomes a little bit stale. So this year, I'd like to create ways of making family dinners a little more interesting. Maybe look at, not every Sunday, because then that can become stale in itself as well, but look at games that we can do as a family, things that we can do differently. I mean, last year we had a system in place where once a month one of my children will cook dinner for us, and that worked out really well. But I feel like we need to introduce something new and different every year, just so that we maintain the momentum and that things remain interesting and exciting. So what I'm going to be looking at this year is a way of re-energizing our family dinners through play, and look at different activities that we can do as a family after dinner to connect a little bit more and just have fun together. And if you have any family games that are, say, maybe half an hour along that you really love, share them in the comments below. I'd really love to learn from you. And I know that when we share in the comments, loads of other people learn at the same time. And so, yeah, the more we share and the more we'll grow as a community. And then connection, as I said, with my viewers is also something that's really important to me. And what I'd like to do more of, or look at, or reflect on this year is maybe do a catch up at a local shopping centre, maybe Doncaster. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know what it's going to entail, but it's something that I'm keen to pursue and investigate. I know many of you have asked me to do like a meet and greet. So that's something that's definitely on the cards for this channel and for us as a community. Something else that I'd like to look at is lives, how I can include lives on my channel so we can all interact on a live show. I don't know. It's something that I'm putting out there that I'd like to be able to create. And this is like in step 5, when you're looking at identifying the priorities in life, you're also looking at exploring, okay, well, family is important, connections are important to me. How can I make them happen this year? Secondly, when looking at connections, I also want to refresh my friendship group. I have a core group of friends that I interact with one-on-one, but I feel like I'd like to be part of a bigger group. And something that I tried last year, and I only tried it once, was to interact with a new group of friends. And I joined a Facebook group of women over 50, and they catch up over coffee, over brunch. There's another group that goes for a walk in my area. And so I went to a brunch with them, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm an innately shy person, and I went once and I haven't gone again because of my own fear and insecurity that they're not going to like me, that I don't bring anything to the table, that I don't want them to think that I'm trying to push my channel on them. Anyway, all those, but these are all my preconceived ideas, but it's something that I want to work on so in 2025. So anyway, if you're looking to grow your social network, do have a look at Facebook groups. There's one, it's women over 50, and there's one in every suburb. in every location. I know I've seen in Queensland, in New South Wales, and South Australia, Tasmania, and then also in different areas of the city. So we've got one in northern suburbs, and then even in things like, you know, the western suburbs, and then the southeastern suburbs, Mornington, Peninsula, etc. So have a look at those if you're interested in growing your social network and your friendship group. And then one other thing that's important for me, in what's important in my life, is balancing life, work, home, family. How do I make it all work? That's really important, because content creation can be an all enveloping process, because you're constantly thinking about what you want to create, editing, filming, and you could technically be living and breathing your channel and not really living your life. And I want to be able to have balance in that. Last year, I put a lot in my channel, which meant that I didn't have as much time available for the other things that I want to make the most of in 2025, which is just a balance in life. Another priority in my life, obviously, is is health and well-being. So I've joined a gym. I now go to Pilates 4 days a week. I go for a walk twice a week with friends. I've implemented habits that are now part of my routine. I want to add one more now, and that is weightlifting. Weightlifting is really powerful for your body. It makes it healthier, it makes you stronger, it gives you muscles that make you stand up straight, that just make you stronger and make you potentially live longer and healthier. So I'm planning on introducing heavy weights this year. The last thing that's important for me this year is have more fun. Overseas holidays are great, but it's not something that you can do every month. I'm looking at affordable ways, easily and affordable ways, to have fun closer to home. Now, I saw last year on Facebook that there is this group that does disco dancing, but soundless disco dancing. So I think they take you around Melbourne, and I think the one that I was looking at was at the Vic Market, and it was an ABBA themed disco dancing walk, where you basically a crowd of people, and it was a group at the time, but they've actually become crowds now, where they go through an area and they all have headphones singing along to ABBA and dancing along, but they walk around, and I think they have a big disco. And I think that's hilarious and something that I'm really keen to investigate this year. I don't know that my husband will be on board with that, but it's definitely something that's fun, that I think will break up the monotony of life. Another thing that my husband and I started doing last year, towards the end of last year, that I'm going to continue to do this year, is look at ways that you can do something mundane, like grocery shopping, but do it in a fun way, swapping it out a little bit, by switching it up. What we started doing was going shopping in different suburbs, different areas. If you go to your local shopping centre, you see the same things over and over again. But if you break it up and you go shopping somewhere else, and what we did is we went shopping at Roxburgh Park, which has a completely different cultural environment than where I live. Where I live, it's multicultural, but it's not a strong nationality. It's a big diverse variety of people, predominantly leaning more towards Australians, Italians background. Whereas you go to Roxburgh Park and it's more of a Middle Eastern feel and look to the shops and to the contents in the shops. And I felt that was really exciting and interesting, because it meant that it gave me access to different products on the shelves, and that was so much fun. And my husband and I ended up going to a local cafe and trying out different foods, and it was just fun. It was a break from the monotony of going grocery shopping every week. So that's definitely something fun that I want to keep doing next year. Another thing that I want to do is implement regular days in our calendar every month. Now, when the kids were little, we used to do on date nights, and we used to get a babysitter once a month, and Kevin and I would go out to a restaurant. And now this year our budget has been restrained, so going out for dinner hasn't been something that we've done a lot of. But what I've tried to do is change it to going out for coffee instead. It's much cheaper than going out for dinner, because you don't generally have a 3-course meal for breakfast. You don't have multiple drinks. You might have a juice and a coffee, or just a coffee and a cereal, or whatever you're going to have. You're just going to have one dish and a drink, whereas if you go out for dinner, you're likely to have an entree, a main, a side, a dessert, and multiple drinks. So it can get a little bit more expensive. So I'm going to continue to do that. And finally, once you've followed all those steps and brainwashed ways of being able to finesse your life, that's when you start thinking about what word resonates with you, what word encapsulates it all and makes you feel alive for the year. And last year for me, the word was rejuvenate. And I didn't mean rejuvenate in the sense of becoming younger, but rejuvenate in the sense of reinvigorating life, of looking at my life with new eyes in all areas. And so I implemented new routines in my health, in my family, in my day-to-day, in work. And my word for 2025, it is grow. And grow in all areas of our life, in my life. And it doesn't mean just grow as in to become necessarily better, but grow in a sense to expand my horizon, to expand my thoughts, to expand my options in all the areas that are important. You know, when we did in step 5, we looked at the priorities in life. My word grow is in all those areas in my life. How can I grow as a family, in our interactions, in my connections? So when I went through step 5 and I was giving you examples of how I'm going to be fine-tuning and growing is the word that I was looking at. Growing is what I was doing. I was looking at my family dinners and how can I grow them to become more connected. And I was looking at games. How can I grow my friendship group? And so I was looking at a Facebook group and becoming more active in that. How can I grow my connection with my viewers? And I'm looking then opportunities of lives and meetups. How can I grow in my health? And it's looking, okay, incorporating weights so I can become stronger and just firmer. That word resonated with me. And once I did all that, then it's just the fun part of it. And I've mentioned it in my video last year. You basically go on Pinterest and pull up all different pictures that resonate with you, that you love looking at, collate them all on a one pager that you then either print out and put on your fridge, or you print out and you put on your desk, or if you have a phone, put it on your screen as your phone wallpaper, or you put it on your computer, your laptop, your iPad. So every time you click on, that's what comes up. Your word with all the pictures, all the photos that resonate with you, that prompt you every time you see them, that's what's important for you this year. That's what you're working towards. And grow, for me, that it's what resonated with me. Anyway, I feel like I've talked a lot. I will be editing this down a little bit for you. But before I go, I'm going to answer a viewer question, which was, what YouTube channels do I follow? And besides the Australian ones that I can see from my analytics, the back end of my channel, you follow as well. There are some that you may not be aware of that I follow that I thought I'd introduce you to. What I like to watch when I'm watching YouTube is I like watching vlogs from people that don't necessarily live in Australia. I like watching vlogs from people that live a different lifestyle to me. And some of them are quite different from me. So one of the YouTube channels that I like watching is Christopher Allen. He and his partner have recently moved from upstate New York down to South Carolina, I think. And I've been following him for many years. So I've watched him when he was struggling through mental health problems in New York, and then and health issues that he had, and through the changes that he went through in relocating from New York to South Carolina. And now he's in South Carolina and he's showing his home and how he's decorated it. And he's just a lovely, charming young man that I just love to spend time with. Another, and I can highly recommend, so I'll link all these channels down below in case you're also up to watch something different in your downtime. Another YouTuber that I love following and watching is Nikki Positano. Now, she's a British expat who moved to the Positano area a number of years ago and married a local, Carlo. Her and Carlo have a daughter, Sky, and they live in Positano. And I've been following her for many years, and I just love watching the scenery in Positano in Italy through all the different changing seasons. And last year they bought a house in Tuscany, and so now they've added to their channel how they spend time in 2 different locations and how they're decorating and renovating, restoring that house in Tuscany. And I love that. I just love it. I can highly recommend that channel. Another channel that I absolutely love is Carly Flavel. She's an Australian and she moved to Italy and married an Italian, and she also lives in Tuscany, and her channel is absolutely beautiful. Her videos are just such artistic expression of her. She's sweet, she's gentle. It's just, she's lovely, and I love watching her. Her videos are absolutely gorgeous. And there's a theme in all these channels that I follow. I love their editing style. I love watching content that I love to implement and use in my own channel. Not copy, although copying is very flattering, because it's the best form of flattery when someone copies your style, your editing style. But it's more about getting inspiration so that I can pick up something that I like from that channel and that channel. For example, over a Vlogmas, I was watching Christopher Allen, and he did Vlogmas, and what I learned from him was the freedom of being just live on camera and just taking my viewer along with my mundane, what I feel is my mundane life. But as a viewer watching him, I didn't find mundane. Watching him make himself a coffee, I thought was not exciting, but it was actually creating togetherness. It was like spending time with a friend, which is something that I'm very conscious that I want to do in my channel, in my videos. So I learned that, and I've taken that along on my journey to become a better content creator. I love Kylie's videos because they're just artistically so beautifully put together and structured. Another video content creator that I like is Megan Fox Unlocked. I took inspiration from her Unlocked, basically copied it and made it Deborah After 50 Unlocked, straight out copy that. I love her because she's a 30-year-old young mum with 4 children. She's a Mennonite mum, and she lives her life as a Mennonite in Pennsylvania, in the United States. And I just love watching her. She's lovely. She shows you how she lives her life as a Mennonite without sort of preaching religion. So I really love that. Another YouTuber that I follow and that I watch is Benita Larsen. She lives in Sweden, and she's a single woman in probably my age, maybe a couple of years older, and she lives more of a minimalist life. Now you would think, well, what's the attraction there? I definitely don't live a minimalist life. I just love the way she lives, the way she edits her videos, the way she styles her video, and I just love spending time with her because I find her so soothing. And I'm trying to get some of that across on my videos, but I have a different personality from her. I'm more, put me in front of a camera and I'm more bubbly, I'm more effervescent, I'm just more excited than she is. But that doesn't mean that she's better or I'm worse or I'm better or worse. It's just different personalities, but there are snippets of how she edits and how she creates the videos that I'm hoping to bring into my editing style and my repertoire of editing skills. And 2 more channels. Another channel that I love watching is Cecilia Blondel. She is based in Svalbard, which is far northern part of Europe, past Greenland, past Sweden. And she lives on this tiny little island where 6 months of the year it's pitch black, and she lives in darkness for 6 months. And I find that really exciting and fascinating how she does that, and she creates such beautiful montage and footage of the dark and the area that she lives in, and I just love it. So highly recommend her. And another video content creator that I've just discovered literally over the last few weeks that I'm just gorging on her content is Hippie Highland Living. She's a young woman who lives in Scotland, and she lives in a small home. I think it looks like a van. I've only just started watching her and probably watched about 4 or 5 of her videos, and she lives in Scotland. And so I get to experience her life in Scotland, the environment of Scotland. She goes on walks, she talks about her life, and it's just different from my Australian life, my Australian seasonality. So if you're up for checking out some different YouTubers here that aren't necessarily fashion, beauty, shopping, which is something that I like watching, but I also in my downtime just want to watch vlogs of different people. Highly recommend it. I will put them in the description box below for you in case you want to check them out. I think I've shared with you everything that I've done for my intentions. It's to do with family, with health, with work, with family life balance. In this video, I haven't shown you my personal board because I feel that that's personal. I might show it to you next year, but it has things that are more personal to me that I'm not willing to share. But I'm hoping that what I've shared with you has given you enough of a structure, enough of an idea for you to be able to go and create your own intentions for 2025. Let me know in the comments below any that you're willing to share with me, any that have resonated with you in what I've spoken. Thank you for watching, and I hope wherever you are, you're having a fabulous day and are enjoying life. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.